In a world designed to strip you of your individuality, the loner is the only one who possesses assets that cannot be confiscated. Most people build their lives on the shifting sands of social approval, job titles, and external validation. But the loner has invested in a private vault that society has no key to. The first of these assets is inner silence. While the world is addicted to noise and constant distraction, the loner has mastered the ability to sit in a quiet room and feel completely whole. This silence is a fortress. It allows you to process reality without the interference of the crowd's panic. Then there is the power of self-sourced validation. Most people are socially subsidized. They only feel good about themselves if someone else is watching and applauding. The loner has learned to be their own audience. Your self-worth is a closed loop, making you immune to the social credit systems of the modern world. Consider the asset of selective memory. Loners don't carry the weight of every social microaggression or petty grievance that the group obsessively tracks. Because you aren't fighting for a spot in the hierarchy, you have the freedom to forget what doesn't serve your growth. You also possess emotional resilience to isolation. Society uses loneliness as a threat to keep people in line. But for the loner, isolation is a resource, not a punishment. You have taken the world's most powerful weapon and turned it into your primary source of strength. There is the clarity of objective observation. Because you aren't part of the performance, you see the strings. You notice the patterns of manipulation and the cracks in the masks of others. This dark insight is a tactical advantage that no one can take from you, because they don't even know you have it. You have the gift of absolute privacy. In an age where everyone is selling their life for likes, your mystery is your wealth. By keeping your thoughts and plans to yourself, you prevent the world from sabotaging what it cannot see. There is the freedom from sunk-cost relationships. The loner is willing to walk away from anyone who requires a performance in exchange for connection. Your willingness to be alone is the ultimate leverage in any negotiation. Finally, you have the sovereignty of the mind. You have realized that your internal world is the only territory you truly own. While others are distracted by the theater of the world, you are building a kingdom inside your own skull that will stand long after the theater burns down. The primary asset that a loner possesses is informational autonomy, the ability to derive truth from observation rather than consensus. Most people are consensus-driven. They don't know what they think until they see what the group thinks. This makes them incredibly easy to manipulate through media and social pressure. The loner, however, has developed a psychological filter that is independent of the collective broadcast. You have spent enough time in the silence to recognize the texture of truth versus the texture of propaganda. This internal clarity is a permanent asset because it isn't dependent on an internet connection or a social circle. It is a biological upgrade to your processing power that allows you to see the code of society, while everyone else is just looking at the graphics. This autonomy creates a dark advantage because it makes you unpredictable. When a social storm hits, whether it's a trend, a panic, or a cultural shift, the crowd moves in a predictable wave. The loner stays still. You cannot be nudged by the invisible hand of social engineering because you aren't connected to the nervous system of the pack. You are a standalone server. This makes you the only person in the room who can make a truly objective decision in a crisis. While others are looking to each other for permission to act, you are already acting based on your own internal data. This self-governance is the one thing a tyrant or a manager cannot take away because they cannot reach into your mind and rewire your logic. The second unshakable asset is the immunity to social shame, which acts as a suit of invisible armor in any high-stakes interaction. Shame is the primary tool that society uses to enforce compliance. It is the leash that keeps the individual tied to the post of the collective. Most people are terrified of being seen as weird, selfish, or different, and they will sacrifice their own happiness just to avoid a cold look from a stranger. The loner, through years of intentional isolation, has desensitized themselves to this social pain. You have realized that shame is just a ghost that only has power if you agree to be haunted by it. By accepting the label of being a loner, you have already paid the maximum social tax. Once you have accepted the worst that society can call you, you become unblackmailable. There is no social threat left that can move you. This sovereignty of character is a dark asset because it allows you to speak the unspoken truth in rooms filled with diplomatic liars. You aren't being edgy, you're simply unleashed. This makes you an existential threat to the status quo because you cannot be shamed into silence. You have traded the fragile comfort of belonging for the iron strength of integrity. You own your flaws and your virtues with the same level of clinical indifference, ensuring that no manipulator can ever find a hook in your self-esteem. A loner possesses temporal wealth, which is the total ownership of their own time without the social debt that others carry. Most people's calendars are public property. They are obligated to attend events, answer calls, and participate in social maintenance that they secretly despise. They are time poor because they are socially indebted. The loner has defaulted on this debt. You have realized that your time is the only truly finite resource you own, and you treat it with surgical precision. You don't spend time, you invest it. This hoarding of time allows you to develop skills and insights that the exhausted crowd simply cannot match because they are too busy performing. This time mastery gives you a delayed gratification advantage that is terrifying to a fast-paced world. While others are chasing the moment, you are building for the decade. You are comfortable with slow progress because you don't have an audience to impress with quick wins. This patience is a dark psychology tool because it allows you to outweight your opponents. In any conflict, the person who can stay still the longest usually wins. Because you have no social noise to distract you, your focus is a laser that can cut through the chaos. You have turned solitude into a laboratory where you are the scientist and your life is the experiment. The internal locus of control is the loner's fourth confiscation-proof asset. Most people are external locus individuals. Their happiness depends on the weather, the economy, or the mood of their significant other. They are emotional leaflets blown about by the wind of external events. The loner has anchored their well-being in their internal world. You have learned to generate your own joy from internal sources: a book, a thought, a project, or simply the clarity of mind. This makes you economically and emotionally independent of the external world's chaos. Even if the world falls apart, your internal architecture remains intact. This emotional self-sufficiency is a dark asset because it makes you impossible to tempt. Most control systems work by offering a reward to fill a void, but if you have no void, the reward has no power. You cannot be lured by status, luxury, or fame if you are already content in the dark. You have decoupled your identity from your possessions and your position. This lack of attachment is the ultimate act of rebellion. It means you are ready to lose everything at any moment, which makes you the freest person in the room. You have nothing to lose and everything to observe. Loners possess deep intuition, a byproduct of having a high signal-to-noise ratio. Because you aren't constantly flooded with the opinions and anxieties of others, your subconscious mind has the quiet it needs to process information at a high level. You notice the micro-shifts in human behavior that the distracted crowd misses. You can feel a lie or a trap long before it manifests. This quiet intelligence is a dark asset because it bypasses the rational mind of the manipulator. They think they are playing you, but your intuition has already mapped their strategy and formulated a countermove. This perceptive depth allows you to see the world as it is, rather than how it is marketed. You are a decoder in a world of encryption. You notice the silence between the words and the tension behind the smiles. This insight cannot be taken away because it is a result of your environment. By cultivating solitude, you have refined your senses to a surgical sharpness. You are the owl in a forest of crows. While they are screaming and fighting for scraps, you are watching from the shadows, seeing the whole picture with perfect clarity. The asset of existential bravery is the loner's final shield. Most people are terrorized by the thought of death or meaninglessness, which is why they cling to groups, religions, and institutions. They use the crowd to distract themselves from the void. The loner has faced the void alone and made peace with it. You have explored the basement of your own soul and found that there are no monsters, only empty rooms waiting to be filled with your own meaning. This lack of existential fear makes you untouchable by fear-based marketing or political scare tactics. This bravery is a dark asset because it allows you to risk everything for a principle. If you aren't scared of being alone and you aren't scared of being forgotten, you are unmanageable. You can speak truth to power because you don't need anything from power. You are self-contained. This spiritual autonomy is the ultimate prize of the loner's path. You have realized that the world is a dream and you are the only one who is awake. This waking state is permanent. Once you have seen the illusion, you can never unsee it. You are free to play the game of life without being owned by the game. A loner possesses intellectual sovereignty, the absolute ownership of their conclusion. In the modern age, thinking has been outsourced to algorithms and social platforms. People download their outrage and opinions like software updates. The loner builds their own software. You fact-check your own biases in the silence. You read the primary sources while others read the headlines. This depth of thought is a confiscation-proof asset because it is wired into your neural pathways. It is yours for life. This sovereignty is a dark psychology advantage because it makes you immune to gaslighting. When the world tries to tell you that black is white or that up is down, your internal database remains unyielding. You don't argue with the irrational crowd. You simply observe their delusion with clinical interest. You have mastered the art of mental defense, ensuring that no charismatic leader or social trend can hijack your logic. You are the librarian of your own mind, and your stacks are off limits to public opinion. The asset of moral flexibility, in a Machiavellian sense, is the loner's surgical tool. Because you aren't bound by the performative morality of the group, you are free to act according to what is effective and what is true. Most people's morality is just social signaling. They do what makes them look good to the pack. The loner does what is right for the individual. This internal ethical code is personal and unyielding. It cannot be corrupted by peer pressure because there are no peers to pressure you. This ethical independence is a dark asset because it allows you to navigate the gray areas of life with precision. You aren't trapped in the binary of good versus evil that society uses to polarize the masses. You see complexity where they see clarity, and you see simplicity where they see confusion. You are the gray man in a black and white world. Your moral compass is calibrated to your soul, not the law of the land. This makes you unpredictable and effective, as you aren't playing by a script that was written by your opponents. Loners have resourcefulness of the soul, the ability to turn nothing into everything. In solitude, you have learned to entertain yourself, heal yourself, and teach yourself. You are a closed system of innovation. While others are dependent on services and systems to keep them sane, you have built your own internal infrastructure. This resilience is a permanent asset because it travels with you. Whether you are in a penthouse or a prison cell, your ability to thrive remains the same. This resourcefulness is a dark advantage because it makes you hard to kill, metaphorically. You have low overhead. You need very little to be powerful. This minimalism of need is the ultimate leverage. Most people are owned by their needs. The loner owns their needs. You have pruned your life down to the essentials, which makes you fast, lean, and impossible to catch. You are the guerrilla fighter in the war of the spirit. You can survive in conditions that would destroy a socialite. Your internal wealth is portable and enduring. The psychological pivot is the loner's 19th asset. This is the ability to change your mind the instant you receive new data. Most people are emotionally married to their positions because their identity is invested in being right. They would rather go down with the ship than admit they were wrong. The loner has no identity tied to their opinions. You use ideas like tools. If the wrench doesn't work, you throw it away and pick up a hammer. This lack of ego in the intellectual realm is a superpower. This pivot is a dark asset because it makes you evolvable at hyperspeed. While the collective is still arguing about the old reality, you have already adapted to the new one. You are always ahead of the curve because you aren't dragging the weight of public consistency. You have permission to be wrong, which gives you the freedom to be right before anyone else. This agility of mind is confiscation-proof because it is a habit of thought, a fluidity that no system can freeze. You are the river that flows around the stone. In the final analysis, what loners have that can't be taken away is absolute informational and emotional sovereignty. You have dismantled the internal guard and walked out of the gate. You are the author of your unwritten future. You have reached a state where the world's noise is just static in the background of your deep peace. You are the ghost in the machine who has learned to speak silence, and in that silence, you are finally, truly untouchable. Your mystery is your wealth, and your solitude is your fortress. Don't look at the crowd's chaos with anger. Look at it with clinical compassion. They are chasing shadows while you are holding the light. You have won the only race that matters, the race to the center of yourself. Your internal wealth is immune to inflation, safe from theft, and permanent. You are the architect of your reality, and you have finally come home. Stay in your stillness, stay in your mystery, and remember, a kingdom that is built inside can never be conquered from the outside. You are sovereign. You are whole. You are unconfiscatable. The next time you feel the cold breath of society's judgment or the weight of being alone, remember the vault you have built. That tension you feel is just the world trying to find a way in, but there are no doors. You have sealed the perimeter. You are the only one who can let yourself in or out. You are the master of the key. Your silence is your statement. Your mystery is your power. And your solitude is the final proof that you need nothing to be everything. Hold your internal peace like a weapon. Keep your sovereignty guarded like a flame. And let the exhausted world wonder how you stay so bright in the dark. You have already won. The assets you possess are ethereal, eternal, and indestructible. You are the individual that the collective cannot digest. You are the still point in a turning world. Stay silent, stay sovereign, and stay wealthy in the only way that matters. You are untouchable.